stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back, get your lick back. If a nigga owe you something, ain't no chit chat. Better stay up out the way, don't get your shit splat. Stop, let this shit slide and get your lick back. And get your lick back. I feel like I'm JX.
J-Way.
I'm a perfectionist, Adderall got me restless.
I'm gone.
Run with a wild crew, they get reckless. Young boy, come up off that neck.
Give me that.
To the trends. See a lead, be the band.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. How you feeling today?
Oh, I was feeling good. Boy, we got some news, some developing news this afternoon as we near game 1 of 162 tomorrow out in LA. But yeah, I think we've covered the spring pretty well. We're ready to start. Pull the cord, let it rip.
Yeah, it's been an eventful spring training that we knew there were some spots up for grabs, and it appears that the Tigers have gone from pitching chaos last year to fielding chaos this year. We've seen we knew that there was going to be at least one a couple pitching positions up for grabs going into spring training, as well as the third base position, which was wide open for our young prospect Jace Young. But we pretty much thought that our outfield spots were pretty solidified, and then we knew that also Torkelson was going to have to compete with Justin Henry Malloy for that DH position. Now, Torkelson did everything he needed to do to solidify that, but in the process, with the injuries to Matt Vierling and Parker Meadows, and now Wensil Perez, one of our stronger positions as far as the outfield side of things, has seen guys like Javi Baez and Spencer Torkelson having to be, experimented out there, as well as some guys that we brought in the offseason as a Jahmai Jones as well. So even then, with all that happening, I thought that after our tune-up in San Francisco, that there were certain things that would be solidified, but it wouldn't be the Tigers if there weren't some controversial roster moves, and we're certainly going to get to that. But we're going to display to you right here what part of the opening day roster looks like here. Part of that is cut off, but we're going to read off everybody on here, and we're going to get into what that entails. So pitching wise, pretty self-explanatory. I think on the last show we knew what our top 5 pitching rotation was going to be: Terry Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Reese Olson, Casey Mize, Jackson Joe. Fair enough. As far as the pitching side of things, the bullpen side of things, Tyler Holden, Brant Herter, Tommy Canley, Will Vest, Bo Brisky, John Brebbia, Kenta Maeda, and Brennan Hanafy. So for those of you who are familiar with the previous roster, there's a guy missing that we didn't expect to be missing, and that is Mr. Foley. You've been pretty, animate and vocal about how his spot on the team has kind of transitioned, and how the coaching staff has kind of utilized him. But what are your thoughts on that happening? And I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the bullpen guys because it was very spotty that we got a chance to see him. But did Foley have a rough spring that would suggest him being sent down to AAA?
A little rough, but it wasn't. We've seen worse. We've definitely seen worse. And considering what he did last year in regular season in games that mattered, he went 28-32 in saves, 69 games, appearances with 41, finishing the game. 3-6 with a 3.15 ERA, which is career ERA. Detroit's only a 3.16 in 4 years, and 210 relief appearances. So apparently that's not good enough to keep a job at the major league level, which for this club heading into last year, that's kind of crazy to think about because the bullpen as a whole was good. Yeah, he struggled a little bit down the stretch of the regular season. Had a rough go, I think, in the only playoff appearance he had in Houston, and then was left off the Cleveland series altogether. So I don't agree with that. Then again, you look at the signings they got, you know, I don't. They say they want to give these guys that they've drafted and taken, you know, they want to give them all the possible slack and time to develop. And, you know, these are our guys, you know, we're going to do it from the inside, who we draft and cultivate and grow. And then you look at some of the moves they've made collectively in the last few days, including today, and even with Foley, and that it does not appear to be the message they're sending. So I don't necessarily agree with it. It is what it is. You just, you know, hope he gets another chance somewhere along the line because he's earned it. So I don't agree with the Jason Foley demotion, if you will. But we'll see. They've got some other guys. You know, frankly, I would have taken him over Maeda, but you know, he's being cheap about $12 million. So that is what it is.
Yeah, that was the one thing that jumped out at me, and of course, I thought of you. That essentially, Kenta Maeda beat him out for that position. Although, once again, yesterday struck out 2 of 3 in the one inning. In the one inning that he played yesterday, for whatever reason, I'm not sure what's going on, but Kenta Maeda is as far as swing and miss stuff. He has been striking a lot of guys out. It seems like there's an emphasis, the emphasis right now to go after guys that are able to strike guys out. They went out and got Brebbia, who was somebody that we were like, that's cool. Did we really need Brebbia? In our eyes, no. They went out and got Tommy Canley, another guy that strikes out a ton of guys. Foley was a solid closer. Only had 4 blown saves last year, but he was more of a pitch to contact type of guy. And that's the only thing that I can really think of. Obviously, like you said, he had a rocky playoff series. He didn't get many opportunities, and he was actually, passed up on for, young guys like Jackson Jobe for opportunities. But, he's a guy that pitches to contact, and it seems like we've kind of shifted our emphasis to, more of the strikeout guys. But, if he's going to remain in the system. So I think you're going to see him, especially if some of the other guys, struggle. But I certainly was not expecting to see him get sent down. As far as his spring training numbers, he had a 6.14 ERA and 22 innings pitched. He had, let's see here. He gave up 10 hits. How many Ks? 10 strikeouts, which equates to 12 strikeouts per 9, which was the best on the team. I don't know. The ERA was obviously inflated, but I mean, I don't know. He gave up one home run, 5 earned runs. Yeah, it's kind of a head scratcher, but moving along, as far as the infielders are concerned, Cole Keith, we got Gleyber Torres. So that's the first, the right side of the infield, first and second base. You got Trey Sweeney, who will obviously be the platoon option to the inevitable platoon option for shortstop, because he only plays that one position. And then Spencer Torkelson, who did everything that he was asked. they even threw him out in corner outfield, but he can still play serviceable first base, and he'll obviously DH as well. And then the outfield, the nasty work that is outfield, Riley Green, Manuel Margot, who's an individual who we knew when he was signed that there was something else going on. It's like, this math isn't adding up. There's got to be something else going on in the outfield. And it appears that he is going to be our opening day center fielder, unless it's somebody else that we're going to get to later on. But obviously Riley Green and Kerry Carpenter, those are staples in the outfield. We have Manuel Margot, who we got our first look at in San Francisco. Actually had a rough outing out in right field. I won't say that they were, 100% his fault, but one of the balls got over his head and another one kind of slammed off the wall. So not a lot you can do there. But I mean, he's played a considerable amount of center field. They want to keep Riley Green out of center field. So with Wenceel Perez going on the IL, Manuel Margot looks to be our primary center fielder. Now, before we get to the utility players, let's get to these MSU Detroit fan comments. Troy said, "What's up, fellas? What up, man?" Justin Henry Malloy getting sent to Toledo. Didn't see that coming. I did not either. We're gonna talk about that though. They must be expecting Perez or Vierling to return soon if they do that with Justin Henry Malloy. My guess is that Vierling is probably going to be back sooner because he's pretty close, isn't he?
They haven't given a timetable yet, but I mean, it sounds like he's going to miss the opening series at the bare minimum. So they're not going to put him on IL, but I mean, yeah, who knows? Hopefully by our home opener, but if it's anything beyond that, I got to factor in that before they come back east, they'll if it is going to be longer, they'll retroactive place him on IL before they head back from the West Coast. But not too much information has been released about him.
Yep, and the MSU Detroit fan says Ryan Kryler will definitely be sent to Toledo when Vierling or Perez return. Yeah, I would have to think so. I jokingly always say that he causes confusion right before it's time for the season to start. He did hit a home run in one of the last. Actually, he hit a triple last night. Mind you, I didn't get a chance to watch that game. I was at the Pistons game, but yes, he had a triple last night, and he had a home run a couple of days before that. So showing just enough hitting potential, and I will admittedly say that he has looked good defensively in center field. I didn't really know he played outfield up until this year, though. I just knew him to be a infield guy, shortstop, mostly left side of the infield. But apparently he's a center fielder. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I mean, for his minor league numbers, he's played more games in center field than anywhere else.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not like an overwhelming majority of the percentage. It's like 55, 60% at most, with then everything else scattered around, especially the left side infield that you had mentioned. So, but yeah.
And honestly, I don't pay as much attention to the defensive side because I'm not watching the game. So I mostly just pay attention to the hitting side of things in Toledo. But yeah, I mean, I think the only other center fielder that the Mud Hens had last year was Akil Baddoo, and he's still more of a corner outfield guy. So yeah, it probably was Kryler when it wasn't Baddoo. Ryan is that guy who looks good in AAA but bad in the majors. I don't even think he had a good. I don't think he even had a good year in AAA last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong. But yeah, he's made 2 of the last 3 opening day rosters in Detroit and has not had much success as of yet. So yeah, he plays a prominent role. Obviously, defensive versatility is king around here. So he's always going to be in the mix, and it's also a reason why we have the utility guys that we have. So as far as utility players are concerned, we have Zach McKinstry, who we pretty much knew would be around because he can literally play everywhere. Ryan Kryler, same, he can pretty much play anywhere. And then Andy Ibanez, who has a wide range of abilities defensively, and also is our lefty pitcher killer, and will probably be the starting third baseman going into the season, because we will face Blake Snell out the gate. So any other thoughts about I think we pretty much anticipated that McKinstry and Ibanez would be opening day starter, on the opening day roster. But any other thoughts as far as Kreidler is concerned?
No, I mean, they must still think highly of him as a defensive player. Otherwise, this would, wasn't on our bingo card to begin with, but wouldn't be much on anyone's bingo card if that was the case, because we've seen what he can do in limited action in the last year or two offensively, and it's left a lot to be desired. This is kind of the ragtag group we're going to go into day one with, but boy, it's going to be a very, very interesting first week or two. Obviously 30 days with some of the guys that are out a month, but I did not see Kreidler making it, in all honesty. Right there with you on Torkelson. I think we figured about a week ago he was in. And the only thing for me is why such a mystery around Javi Baez and his health? Like, we have been given crumbs every couple of weeks about how close is he to being 100%? How does he, feel? We've seen what he's shown in spring training, which hasn't been too much compared to some of the other regulars on the 26 man. So I don't necessarily, I'm reserving hope that he is 100% and is not rushing back from, because we saw him in the playoffs. Dude was a couple weeks after surgery and he was walking with a giant cane, one of those crutch canes, in a half leg size cast from his foot to his knee pretty much. And he could barely walk. So impressive in that and in its own right for the major surgery that he did go through. But I think those will be some of the keys, and obviously the progression of Dylan Dingler. How will he handle getting some regular opportunities behind Jake Rogers on days that he's not catching? Most likely Skubal for sure, and possibly Flaherty as well.
I'm starting to think that Kane was for swag, because it's pretty clear that to me that he's healthy, in the sense that he played center field last night. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was away from the TV, but no way there's any reservations about his health if they got him running around in San Francisco playing center field. I would have loved to see him they said that was his dream to play center field when he was younger. So we're just letting a guy making way too much money for his performance live out his dreams, I guess. So, but it's it's obvious that there is concerns about defensive versatility, especially with Wenceel Perez being out, because what happens is Manuel Margot essentially ends up taking Justin Henry Malloy's position. We did not have to go out and if you were going to keep Kreidler, you could have still kept Kreidler to play center field and Malloy to play somewhere in the corner. It's not like we're talking about three guys that one hits left, one's left-handed or something like that. We're talking about three righties, Kreidler, Margot, and Malloy. Offensively, there's nothing more Malloy could have did. The only thing, we talked about it last week, the only thing that Malloy hadn't accomplished was hitting a home run. So what does he do yesterday? He hits a ball straight away center field, to the deepest part of the park. So any reservations of whether or not he can make contact, or hit the ball out were gone after yesterday. So essentially Margot took Malloy's spot. So Margot being a better defensive player who can play center field as well as in the corner, that had to hold precedent over the situation. I mean, I genuinely feel bad for Malloy. Granted, jokingly, I say he sealed his fate when him and Clark collided, out there in the outfield because, he took reps at first base. He played a lot of corner outfield, some good, some bad situations, but the dude was hitting three. Oh no, I'm not. I don't even want to lie to you. I'm gonna pull up his actual stats.
He came up as an infielder too, originally, right? Left side infield. Originally,
I think originally he was in the corner outfield, and then they moved him to third because we have had a gaping hole at third. For the last couple of years. So, so I think naturally he would, his bat has always been ahead of all, but they moved him to the corner infield because that was was going to get him in the major league sooner, but he just didn't pan out at third base, obviously, because he would have made the team. So yeah, he hit 309. He had a 309 average. He had 1 home run and 7 RBIs, but he's looked great at the plate. I think his defense, and not so much his defense at first, probably didn't really hurt him, but just the fact that he if he could play third or he could play first, he would be on the team. That's what it's all said and done. We're going to get to these comments, but we got to take a break. I always go too long without taking a break. It's been 20 minutes already. All right, let's get to these comments. Emerson Detroit fan says, yeah, Baez will probably play third, especially when Justin Henry Malloy getting sent down. Torque could play third, and Justin Henry Malloy could be DH while Carey in right field in that version. Torque, I think they labeled him as a third baseman when he was drafted, but I don't think he's ever played third base.
Not, I mean, if he did in the minors early on, maybe, but certainly not in the parent club, and I don't think he did in Toledo.
I don't believe so.
Yeah. I mean, if he's playing third, we are probably next to last in the American League, if that's the case. Just being honest. Literally, I've never seen the guy throw the ball more than 30, 40 feet in game.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at his arm, when you look on Savant, his arm is not very good. Granted, he doesn't get to utilize it very often, but something tells me it's not very good.
We saw him throw home in Houston. That wasn't very good.
Yes, I faintly recall that. So yeah, I mean, batting wise, I think that puts us in a good position. The tune-up games in San Francisco didn't see much offense outside of a couple home runs. The back-to-back, by way of back-to-back, Riley Green and Torque, which had to just feel amazing because they're just I don't think anybody's happier than Riley Green that Torque tore it up this spring, and for them to go back, back to back, and Torque to go back to back in his home region because he's from the Bay Area. That had to have been pretty cool. But I think offensively, bat wise, to be able to to have Torque out there along with Justin Henry Malloy, which we were able to do in the spring because of us just kind of tinkering with positions. But I think that offensively it would help us a lot more than defense. But we got enough stuff going on. We got Baez playing wherever he plays. We got Gleyber Torres, who hasn't been bad defensively, but you got him, and then you got Cole Keith, who's playing a brand new position. You got to give yourself some type of balance and stability. So yeah, it's an idea. I don't think it's the worst idea outside of the fact that Torque I've never seen at third base, and it's probably not pretty. MC Detroit fan, they also Hayden, who's actually going to be the main shortstop between Baez and Sweeney. In my opinion, Neither one of them are hitting great. So I think they're just going to straight platoon 50-50, Baez against lefties and Sweeney against righties. I think Baez is probably hitting under 200 on the spring. Let's look at it. He's hitting 184 and Sweeney is hitting 204. So either way, let's just pray that McConaughey's ready soon. or in the very, foreseeable future, McConaughey to second and Bryce Rainier to shortstop. That's down the road, of course, but that's pretty. I don't think you win either way. I don't think you win either way with whoever plays shortstop or who's ever hitting at shortstop, because they haven't been very good offensively. MSU Detroit fan Torres here to fill in until either McConaughey or likely Lee. There we go. See, I didn't even read that. McConaughey or Lee make the Tigers. Yeah, and Lee definitely needs some work. He's consistently been a little behind hitting wise, so we're gonna let that play out for sure. MSU Detroit fan, with Sweeney, McConaughey, and Rainier all being listed as shortstops, we need one of those kids to learn around the first. See, me and MSU Detroit fan are on the same page with this. But Coach, by all means, jump in here with any other commentary on that.
I think we talked about that too. Like, I feel like Cole Keith just playing first this year is temporary. He'll go back to second when Gleiber hits the market. So then that puts us back in the need for an everyday right-handed hitting first baseman. Eventually, you're going to part ways with Baez, and third base is wide the hell open for at least the next year, if not two, by way of not signing someone next year if it goes into year two. But they're doing that with everyone right now. Everyone's playing different positions. Just pick a position out of a hat day, and this is what we're doing here in Detroit, because I've never seen, granted, what we're seeing right now today heading into game one, is purely just out of desperation. It's fairly similar to what you led off the show with. Last year was pitching chaos. This year is fielding chaos. Last year and this year right now, we're both out of desperation need because of injuries. So while we went through this last year and we made the hot run, I can't say I have the same warm, fuzzy feeling like we did closing the gap at 0.2% last year, because I know we say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But if you start off bad enough in Major League Baseball, first 60 days, you start off bad enough, you're cooked. It doesn't matter how hard you climb and fight. I mean, that happened 2 years ago, not last year, but the year before. Remember, we were 25 games under. Torkelson was sent down. He came back up the first time, got hot. They went a really good, last 50-day stretch, 60-day stretch where they were above 500, and they finished almost around 500. That had no pressure. This is coming off the heels of the season and the wild card last year with some pressure of okay, we need to get back. It's not like this division is very tough. It's probably one of the weakest divisions in Major League Baseball, all fairness, with, Chicago, again, probably going to be a bottom team overall in not just American League, but all baseball again. Guardians trading a few guys away, and the Twins not really doing much either. And Kansas City probably will be in challenging with. So, with those guys, we'll see. It's easy to get carried away with some of these guys like McConaughey and Hyu Lee and some of these other prospects. I'm like, we're barely being able to enjoy the guys we got right now and are making it this year. So, and if this is the mindset we're being trained by Scott Harris because Ilitch won't spend money, it's a lot of unproven talent that's going to have to either make or break some of these rosters here over the next few years. But I digress. I went on long enough about that.
Yeah. Mr. Detroit fan says Jace Young come back also. Yep. Can't forget about Jace Young. I'm really pulling for him to get transition and react well to the send down, but it was inevitable. It's not like we were kind of like on pins and needles about if. I mean, for the most part, unless you were just handing him the job, he certainly didn't earn it. But he's a top 10 prospect still, so can't write him off just yet. He says, ironic, was just talking about Red Wings prospects before this, now talking about Tigers prospects. Yeah, the Red Wings, very sore subject.
Detroit fan, we've only got enough oxygen to talk about one poorly run Illich team, and we're going to stick with the guys on the diamond for right now, considering the ice, pucks, guys on the ice probably are on the outside looking in with how many games they have left. But back to the baseball side of things. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know we rarely get to talk free agents in this era right now, but what do you think about those guys that we've noted and you've done a really good job keeping tabs on, and McConnell and others? Do you think outside of a September call-up, do we see an opportunity where any of those guys listed, and I'll throw in Max Clark too at the same breath because they're up there. Is there a chance we see these guys for any extended period of time other than just a week or two?
Well, see, I think that if we already had a healthy Vierling and healthy Meadows, I think that pushes the timeline up, ironically, because at this point, we're just waiting around to see, but as opposed to us tinkering with the idea of seeing a Clark in July, we'll be tinkering with the idea of Meadows being back in July at this point. So unless the situation with Meadows just go completely awry, I think they're going to give every opportunity for Meadows to come in and pick up where he left off before we start worrying about a Max Clark, because they're directly in line of each other. As far as McGonigal is concerned, I mean, there's no where would he play? He'd have to. I mean, we'd have to cut Baez. We'd have to say that Sweeney is just completely useless, and then we get to a McGonigal. Torres, I hope he plays second base all year. I mean, we right now we need him to. We need Torres, Green, and Carpenter to be solid constants all year round, because other than that, I tried to put together a batting lineup today. I don't know who the leadoff hitter was, because actually I put Malloy has played the top of the batting order for most of the year, but he started in AAA. So I honestly think the leadoff hitter is probably going to be Torres. I think it's probably going to be Torres. And then you're going to put in probably Ibanez at the 2 as the starting second baseman. I mean, started third baseman, and then go Green, Carpenter, maybe Keith at 5, but maybe not versus a lefty. So you're probably going to put either probably a Margot at the 5, Keith at the 6, and then you got Baez, Rogers. I'm missing one.
Carpenter.
Carp. Well, yeah, Carp. Yeah, Carp. If they want him to go against lefties. Oh, Torque. Torque isn't going to be in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say probably Torque's in there 5 over Margot. Margot's not too much of a power guy. I feel like he's either top or bottom of the lineup pretty much.
So Blake Snell, opening day pitcher is Blake Snell. Is Carp still going to get the start?
I sure shit hope so. And we've talked about it in the winter and last year. He has good numbers against lefties, and it's been small splits, and I don't understand why.
And I guess I see there's no harm in allowing him to get the first crack at it. I guess even if he goes 0 for 4 and strikes out 4 times, that's bad math. How you go 0 for 4 and strike out 5 times? You go 0 for 4 and strike out 4 times. I guess there's no shame in allowing him to get that first crack at it. So even if you move him down in the lineup, yes, you start out Carpenter in right field, and then Torkelson and DH. So you got Torres at 1, or Ibanez at 1. You're interchangeable, however you want to do that. And then Green at the 3, Carpenter at the 4, whoever you want at 5. So
Torque's fine if you want to slide him in there.
Torque at 5, Keith at 6. Yeah, Baez, Rogers, and I'm still missing one.
Then you got Rogers.
Oh yeah, Margot's in there somewhere.
Yeah, Rogers, Margot, and Kreidler.
So you think Kreidler?
Oh no, not Kreidler. Yeah, it's either going to be Kreidler or
Margot in center.
Margot. So I don't think it's really going to matter what arm is pitching against us that day. I think he's just going to roll with whoever's swinging a little bit better bat, maybe. But
I think Margot historically is pretty good against lefties, though.
Okay. So there's another platoon. I lost track.
Right.
So we got platoons within platoons.
All right, let's get through these comments, and then we're going to take our next break. MSU Detroit fan, I'm just going to say the Pistons turned things around in a single season while the Red Wings are still 6 years deep in a rebuild. Yeah, because they haven't made – when's the last time the Red Wings made the playoffs? Not to get too far off on a tangent, but –
their approach, if they don't make it this year, it'll be 8 years. And that'll be all – or 8 or 10. But this is Stevie's 7th year.
Wow. Yeah, he's good. Anyway, MSU Detroit fan, I need to see Clark and McConaughey finish in AAA. Then I believe they can make the Tigers in 2026. Yeah, they'll be invitees to camp next year. And yeah, I mean, McConaughey is so good. I
honestly disagree with that. I mean, did Joe play any AAA last year?
Yeah, but Job.
Just saying.
Job's been on a faster track for whatever reason. He's young.
He's
older though. Clark,
but there was no
19.
spot for him this year until Cobb went down.
Did Job go to college?
I
don't think he went to college. How old is Jackson Job?
I thought he was like 23.
So he's 22 years old.
Okay.
Never went to college, but Clark is 19 though.
Yeah, we just got him a year ago this June. we haven't had him a full year yet. I mean, so Job's been in the system for what, 4 years now?
Okay,
right?
yeah. So as far as so you can't compare the two because we're talking about two high school guys, or no, Job is a high school guy too, but he's been in the system for a few years.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm saying I wasn't anticipating Job making it as a regular, and I really don't think he's going to have. Again, someone's going to have to get designated, cut. I mean, sent down, cut. Like Maeda's going to get cut, Cobb's going to get cut. If they want to keep Job up, someone's going to have to lose a spot on this team.
They're not cutting Cobb. How much they pay him? $15 million. That's more than Maeda.
Yeah, but they paid Maeda what 16 last year. He was 2 year, $28 million. It was a little front end loaded last year.
Oh,
he's making 12 base this year, so he made 16 last year, 12 this year. So I mean, in my opinion, those would be one of the two and first in line to get axed if you're keeping Job. But they've done some other weird things just today alone. So
you might see Riley Green gets sent down. Just kidding.
Riley Green starting catcher. What?
Right. I mean, I got to figure something out. Maybe can't be Rogers. Can't be. I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I mean, the only thing that gives me reservations that this year is going to be a in between year before the preparation for a lot of our young talent to really hit its. I don't want to not peak, but it is the fact that we have these injuries to worry about. I mean, we have 3 injuries in the outfield alone. Like, thank God the two, knock on wood, the 2 injury prone guys, Riley Green and Carpenter, are healthy. But yeah, I think that if we go into the season and we're fully healthy, which nobody's fully healthy, so that's a lot to ask, but if we had Meadows, Vierling, I mean, okay, Perez, fine. Perez, we knew was not going to be an everyday starter. Probably he was going to be a depth guy. But if we go into the season with Meadows and Vierling, what questions do we really have?
Infield.
Our question. Yeah, we probably still have infield, but yeah, I guess. Well, we still have, we still have questions at shortstop, and we still got to figure out who our third baseman is going to be. But there's no, we certainly didn't think that Manuel Margot was going to be we certainly didn't think Manuel Margot would be our starting center fielder, because you had to surpass.
Yeah.
Okay, Meadows, fine. You had to surpass Vierling and Wenceel Perez to get to that point.
And I think Margot could be a candidate to get cut. They're only paying him $1.3 million this year, so that's fully guaranteed. That's his veterans minimum. So that'd be the other guy that they would look to maybe cut. But that's, in terms of Joe. But now you're talking pitcher for hitter. So if that's going to happen, that means someone else in the field is ready to come back too at the same breath. So, but Margot's
going to have to perform well. Otherwise, there's no ties there. There's no emotional ties. There's no loyalty to that. It's like, hey, my bad. Vierling came back. Vierling, our third baseman / could be everyday center fielders coming back. What are you going to do? So, So yeah. All right. Before I get sidetracked again, let's take this break. All right. So we knew that there was going to be a lot to talk about once we got to talking about the rosters and the moves we need to make. I'm going to take this comment, and then we are going to get into the injury report. Troy says Torres refused to move from second. That's why the Yankees hated him. Yeah. Hey, as long as he can hit this year and be a power source from the right side of the plate, I guess we just gonna have to deal with that. It's a short term move, but he had a good spring, which was nice, because if he had came in and stunk it up, that would have been yet another controversy to add to the rest of this. But Coach, what are the injury report looking like?
So as we alluded to earlier, the guys that are going to start the season on the injured list. Wenceel Perez, the newest member. These guys, I swear, they're just taking a ticket and getting in line now. He'll miss a month, so he'll be placed in the 30-day IL. Vierling will not start on the IL, at least tentatively, hoping he can just miss the first series or 2 or 3 at the very most. Anything beyond that, it would make more sense to put him on IL and bring someone up to take his spot and get some use out of it. After that, obviously Meadows out at least another month before he starts any kind of additional activity for his shoulder. Alex Cobb, obviously, and guy who is still on the mend from his severe surgery and recovery last year, Sawyer Gipson-Long, are the guys who will start on the IL, with the exception of Vierling. If he continues past into week 2, I fully expect them to retroactive place him on the IL.
All right. So we've kind of talked about all the projected, not the projected. This is the roster now. And we are now to the point of opening day is tomorrow in LA. They have announced the 3 starters that we will face in the series. And so that is Blake Snell, Yamamoto, and Roki Sasaki. I think Blake Snell, this is his first outing of the year, correct?
I'm not sure.
I believe it is. I mean, I don't know. The stats were weird on ESPN. It said that he has a loss, but the Dodgers haven't. I think that must have been a spring training loss, because they went 2-0 against the Cubs, correct?
I haven't followed their spring. I don't really know what their stats look like for the Dodgers.
The Dodgers are
I can
2-0.
open this article here.
Yeah, the Dodgers are 2-0.
Oh, the Japan series. Yeah.
Yeah, the Japan series.
Yeah, so this would be his first. This would be his first start. He didn't pitch, and as far as I'm aware, he didn't pitch in Japan.
Yeah, but Roki Sasaki and Yamamoto did, of course. They're from Japan, so why would you not have the two Japanese guys pitch? And Sasaki kind of got touched up a little bit. His command was a little off. He had 5 walks, but he showed why, he showed ultimately why the buzz was what it was when it was time to sign him. So me personally, I'm going to start with my thought process on the season and where we are at. Offensively, I don't know what we're going to, where we're going to be at. I think we only managed about 2 runs in both of the tune-up games in San Francisco, and they were both by way of home runs. So not a lot of manufacturing, just pure power. And even then, one of those guys that hit the home run is starting the year in Toledo, for what it's worth. So despite the fact that we didn't have much hitting, we didn't have a ton of hitting to go by in general, we sent one of our better hitters from the spring to AAA as is. My impression is that the starting pitching is going to have to carry us as it did last year. Unfortunately, the questions that we had going into the offseason last year, we are still in the same place. But yeah, we're going to have to lean on Tarik Skubal, Jack Flaherty, who will be going against his ex-team. Well, ex-team. He played for them for a couple months. He spent he spent more time in Detroit than in LA, but yes, he'll be going against the team that he won a World Series championship with. Yeah, got that ring with. Yeah. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to lean on the pitching staff. I think the bottom of our lineup is going to be kind of questionable, and we don't have a legitimate, leadoff hitter as well. So, I don't know. It should be. It's of course, there's a lot of tradition and excitement that goes into opening day, and at least we can, hang our hat on a top 10 pitching staff, voted by multiple writers, and so we do have that going for us. But what are your impressions going into the season? Obviously, the Dodgers have already, started their season and can kind of, and have something to show for it. But what are your initial thoughts going into opening day?
As a season whole kind of projection, obviously we're starting wounded. There's no two ways about that. The emphasis again is going to be on pitching, all of it, because we're going to have some inefficiencies compounded because the injuries on offense is power production and also defensively. I'm fully expecting us to go through some defensive hiccups as Colt becomes now a first baseman add-on as well. He did play better down the last couple months at second base as a whole, not just throwing and fielding, but everything in range. He had some really nice plays at some of the edge of the dirt, infield grass. And I just hope we don't get beat up too bad early. Not that I'm expecting us to lose, but I mean, everything on paper tells you we're going to struggle to score runs, more so than we did at probably our lowest point last year before we got hot. Like you said, they focused on taking guys that have defensive flexibility and have shown ability to play other positions. So we're going to see a lot of guys playing different positions the first 30 days. And I think the biggest parts will be the starting rotation carrying us, the whole freaking organization in the backpack, the Jansport, if you will. And what happens with Torkelson over the first 30 to 45 games. And I think the larger picture too is Parker Meadows. How will his nerve react in a month? Will he be able to progress and continue? Because he holds down. I mean, look, no offense to Riley Green. He's an all-star by every right. He's earned that. But Parker Meadows, what he does is make that entire outfield defensively 3 times better than any other outfield that is out there because of everything that he brings. And it really helps settle the corner outfield. So now you've got to question, guys that we might have maybe hide a little bit, like Malloy when he was out there. He had some help to him in the gap. So now you don't have that. Got a 5-tool player, guy that I was calling last year as a Gold Glove candidate, and I think he is a Gold Glove candidate when healthy. Stolen base guy, runs the base as well, covers so much ground, plus arm. I mean, he's everything you want in a center fielder. He can bat leadoff. He bats with power too. If you really wanted to slide him around, put him in some run production spots. Mm-hmm. So those are my key spots going in. And, with Torkelson, I think in the same breath too, automatically you think Baez. Those 2 guys will be under a microscope.
Yeah, more so Torkelson just because there's not as much financial stock in it. But I'm all in on the Torque train. He had an amazing spring, probably one of the better springs ever.
Cool. Can't take that with you. You don't win awards with that. I'm sorry.
You can't. No, you can't. You can't. But he just seems so much quicker to the baseball. His approach has changed. The home run he hit in San Francisco was I don't know. It was a letter high. It was at least belt high, and it was a 90. I want to guess it. I think it was like 93 miles an hour. It wasn't. But I'm not asking him to be Soto. I'm asking him to be a source of power in this lineup and to do it with runners on. Granted, that was a solo home run, but that's only because Riley Green hit a home run in front of him. So, we direly need him, and especially with Malloy going down, he's got to hit. Like, it's gonna be bad when Malloy is hitting 400 in AAA, and he's chugging along with a home run or 2, but he's hitting, around the Mendoza line. Like, Torque has got to tear it up from day one. He's just got to. But so that is our preview. Or I have to mention the fact that Mookie Betts is back. They said that he lost all this weight, but they said that he's also returned to the team, correct?
I saw yesterday that he is now up to 20 to 25 pounds down. And whether he plays or not, I hadn't seen that, but obviously must be well enough because he came back before he even played the first game in Japan. So it's, they did the whole PR marketing thing over there for that little mini series, but I would imagine he's going to play, or at least has a chance to play at the bare minimum. So obviously, otherwise he would have been on the IL already too, because it's been several days since he went out to Japan originally. So, but I mean,
yes. So they haven't announced whether the weight's come back, but he says, I feel great. He said, I feel great, guys. Awesome, normal. Betts told. Once I step foot on the dirt, I'm ready to go. Okay, so that doesn't tell us anything. He said once he returns, because they talked about him dropping down from 175 to 157 due to a stomach issue. This is with the Dodgers home opener right around the corner. He seems to be on the mend. So he's feeling good, but there's no way he's physically ready to play. He says he said on Thursday the Dodgers will get to play with the first pitch.
In that quote the other day, it said he hadn't even started. He hadn't been able to hold solid foods down still. Now, what day that quote was pulled from, whether it was last Friday or Sunday, Monday, I don't know, but it sounded like it was more recent.
So the interview, I mean, not the interview, the story from today says that he feels good and he's normal. So I think that he's probably now he's not he's not back to weight. He can't be.
No.
But I think he's back to feeling like himself. So he's probably packing the pounds back on. He's not a big guy in general, but so yeah. So we probably won't see him in the series, which is, quite all right, because we got enough guys that are missing. But it's good to hear that he's back to normal and he's at least able to make a statement, because I mean that couldn't have been fun. So that's yet another series where the Tigers miss out on Mookie Betts, because when we saw him in the summertime, he was injured as well. But any closing comments as we wrap up and get ready for opening day? We were having a discussion on the NFC North channel about what is the bigger opening day at this point? Is it baseball or is it football?
Man, I don't know too many people that take a Monday night game off game one to celebrate opening NFL kickoff. I mean, you and I have been through it here. People take the day off fairly religiously to go downtown for our home opener, that is, and celebrate. So even if they don't go to the game, which, I've done that a few times. In fact, I don't think I've ever actually, I have once attended one opening day. That's it. But I think it's got to be bigger for baseball because regardless of what day of the week, especially during the week it is, people take it off. Football, unless it's a Thursday and you take the Friday day after, I don't really know if people are taking the day off work, for Sunday afternoon kickoff, day after for Monday, but I digress. I'd say baseball.
Yeah. I mean, baseball is full of tradition, opening day being one of the biggest ones. Obviously the NFL, it's like a 3-part process. You got Thursday night, which is the initial, and then you got, not 3, and then you got Sunday, you got Monday, so it's not even just one individual day. And then, like you said, there's an opening day, but everybody has their own home opener. In the NFL, I don't think that the home opener, there's no opening day for if you start on the road and then the second game of the season is your home opener. It's just a home opener. It's not an opening day. So it's word semantics, of course, but So we will be back. This is obviously an opening day show. We had to do a show in preparation for all the rosters and all that stuff. So we will be back with some new wrinkles, possibly even an in-person one. So stay tuned for that, and you'll see that first at Bleachers to Speakers. And of course, download or subscribe to Corner of the Copa for all the audio side of things. And we'll see you guys real soon.
Go Tigers.